holographic screen glowed softly in the darkness of the command room. Jake Morrison stood with his arms crossed, watching the alien figure appear before him. The creature looked like a large lizard, with shiny scales that changed colors in the light. It was an ambassador from the Velkari people, one of the oldest races in the galaxy. The ambassador spoke through a translation device. His voice came out clear but strange. "Commander Morrison, the Galactic Council has made a decision. Your people have been moving into space that does not belong to you. You have broken the rules that were made long before humans knew how to fly. We are telling you now that we are declaring war on humanity." Jake blinked and stared at the alien. Then something unexpected happened. He started to laugh. It began as a small chuckle, but soon he was laughing so hard that tears came to his eyes. He bent over, holding his stomach, unable to stop. The Velkari ambassador looked confused. His head tilted to one side. "You laugh? You find this funny? We have 17 star systems under our control. We have weapons that can destroy entire planets. This is not a joke." Jake wiped his eyes and tried to control himself. "I am sorry. Really, I am. It is just that you have no idea what you are doing. You do not know anything about us, do you? About what we used to be?" He took a deep breath. "Tell me something. How long has your council been peaceful?" The ambassador stood taller, seeming proud. "We have lived in peace for 12,000 of your years. We stopped fighting long ago. We grew beyond the need for violence." Jake nodded slowly. The smile left his face. "We have been peaceful for only 3,000 years. Just 3,000. Do you understand what that means? Do you know what kind of people we had to be before we finally stopped fighting each other?" The ambassador said nothing. Jake could see confusion in the alien's eyes. "You should go back to your council. Tell them to look at our history. Tell them to really look at what humans did to each other before we found peace. Then maybe they will understand why I am laughing." After the transmission ended, Jake sat down heavily in his chair. His second officer, Lisa Park, came to stand beside him. She had watched the whole thing. "They really have no clue, do they?" she asked quietly. "None at all," Jake replied. "They think war is just politics. They think it is about being stronger or having better weapons. They do not understand what war really is, what it does to people, what it makes people become." Lisa looked out at the stars through the window. "Should we warn them? Really warn them?" "We will try," Jake said. "But I do not think they will listen. People who have never known real war never believe it can be as bad as it really is." Meanwhile, deep under the surface of Earth, in a place that had not been visited in generations, Claire Bennett walked through dusty corridors. She was a history professor, called away from her classroom because of the alien declaration. Old lights flickered on as she moved, responding to her presence after years of darkness. She reached a massive door with warnings written in old languages. The door opened slowly and she stepped into the archive. Row after row of storage devices stretched into the distance. This place held all of humanity's history, every war, every weapon, every terrible thing they had ever done to each other. Claire activated a terminal and began searching through files. Her hands moved quickly, but her heart felt heavy. She had studied this history her whole life, but seeing it all gathered together was overwhelming. Thousands of years of violence, millions of deaths, weapons designed for nothing but killing. A voice spoke behind her. "Professor Bennett." She turned to see General Peter Harris entering the room. He was an old soldier, one of the last generation trained in actual combat before humanity gave up war. His face looked tired and sad. "General," Claire said, "I got your message. You want me to make a presentation for the council?" "Yes, they need to see what humanity was. They need to understand what they are asking for." Peter walked closer, looking at the data on her screen. "Show them everything. Do not hide anything. They declared war on us, so they need to know what war really means." Claire pulled up files from Earth's ancient past. "This is horrifying, General. The 20th century alone had 2 world wars. Nuclear bombs, chemical weapons that burned people's lungs, diseases created in laboratories to kill millions, and that was before we even left Earth." "Keep going," Peter said. "Show them the colonial wars. Show them what happened when we took our violence to the stars." Claire continued searching. She found records of space battles that destroyed entire moons, weapons that could make stars explode, computer viruses that took over enemy ships and turned them against their own fleets, soldiers modified with technology to make them better killers, children trained from birth to fight. "We have all of this in storage, do we not?" Claire asked. All these weapons, all these terrible things. We kept them even after we stopped using them. Peter nodded. We kept everything. We told ourselves it was so we would never forget. So we would remember why peace was important. But really, we kept it because deep down we knew this day might come. The day when someone who did not understand would challenge us. The final war, Claire whispered, pulling up the last great conflict in human history. 30 billion people dead in 3 years. We almost destroyed ourselves completely. That was what finally made us stop. That was when we decided to change. And we did change, Peter said. For 3,000 years we have been good. We have been peaceful. We built a society based on cooperation and understanding. We joined the galaxy as friends. But the old knowledge is still there. The old skills, the old weapons, all waiting in the dark, hoping never to be used again. Claire finished her research and began putting together the presentation. Every image she selected made her feel sick. Every statistic seemed impossible. How had humanity survived this? How had they done such terrible things to each other and still managed to become better? Do you think they will understand? She asked Peter. When they see this, will they realize what they have done? Peter was quiet for a long moment. I hope so. I really hope so. Because if they do not, if they insist on war, then we will have to show them in a different way, and that is something I never wanted to do. The presentation was ready. Claire saved it and stood up. Her legs felt weak. This is enough to give anyone nightmares. Good, Peter said. Maybe nightmares will keep them alive. Maybe fear will save them from actually experiencing what is in those files. He turned to leave, then stopped. Professor, one more thing. Make sure they understand that this was us at our worst, and that our worst was very, very bad. Claire watched him go, then looked back at the screen. 3,000 years of peace. It seemed like such a long time. But compared to 10,000 years of war, it was nothing. Humanity had been violent far longer than they had been peaceful. That violence was in their history and their culture, buried deep but never truly gone. The aliens were about to learn something that humanity had learned the hard way. Peace was not the natural state of the universe. Peace was something you chose, something you worked for, something you fought to maintain, and the ones best able to keep peace were the ones who truly understood war. The Galactic Council chamber was beautiful. It was a huge round room where representatives from 47 different alien species gathered. Some floated in special containers. Others sat on platforms built for their particular body types. Some were made of energy and glowed like stars. Others were so small they needed magnifying screens so everyone could see them. Lauren Price stood at the human section, wearing her formal ambassador uniform. She looked out at all the alien faces and felt nervous. The council had called this emergency meeting to discuss the war declaration. Most of the aliens looked angry or afraid. Some looked at humans with disgust as if they were dangerous animals. The Velkari leader struck his staff against the floor. The sound echoed through the chamber. We are here to discuss the human problem. They have expanded into territories without permission. They have ignored our warnings. They are aggressive and dangerous. This is why we must act now before they become stronger. Lauren raised her hand. May I speak? The Velkari leader waved dismissively. You may speak, but it will not change our decision. War has been declared. I understand, Lauren said calmly. But before you proceed, before you do something that cannot be undone, please watch a presentation we have prepared. It is about human history, about what war means to us. An Althari representative made of pure energy pulsed with annoyance. We know your history. You are young and violent. This is exactly why we must control you. With respect, Lauren replied, you know nothing about human violence. Please just watch. If after seeing this presentation you still want war, then we will not argue anymore. But you deserve to know what you are choosing. The council members looked at each other. Finally, the Velkari leader agreed. Very well. Show us your presentation. But it will not change anything. The lights in the chamber dimmed. Claire's presentation began to play on every screen and viewing surface. Images of Earth appeared, but not the beautiful green planet the aliens knew. This Earth was scarred and burning, cities destroyed, oceans poisoned, entire continents turned into wastelands. Claire's recorded voice began to narrate. This is what Earth looked like 5,000 years ago. This was the result of human wars. We did this to ourselves, to our own home planet. Numbers appeared on the screen. 108 billion deaths. The council members gasped. Some of them had never even heard of numbers that large being applied to deaths. The First World War? Claire continued. 20 million humans died. We used poison gas that melted the skin off people's bodies. Soldiers lived in muddy trenches for years, surrounded by disease and death. We invented new ways to kill each other every day. The images showed soldiers stumbling through mud, their eyes burned by chemicals, bodies stacked like wood, young men dying slowly in pain. The aliens watching began to look sick. Many had never seen violence like this. The Second World War, Claire's voice said. 60 million dead this time. We learned to kill more efficiently. We built factories designed only for murder. We split atoms and used them to destroy cities in seconds. We burned people alive by the millions. A small alien called a whisper made a sound of distress and had to be calmed by their attendants. Several large Gorlans shifted uncomfortably on their platforms. The images kept coming, each one worse than the last. The colonial wars, when we reached the stars, we fought over rocks in space. We destroyed moons to use as weapons. We created diseases that targeted specific DNA. We built machines that could think and kill. We made war an art form. The presentation showed space battles the aliens could barely comprehend. Ships torn apart by weapons moving at incredible speeds. Entire space stations full of people simply vanishing. Planets with their atmospheres stripped away, leaving everyone on the surface to die slowly. We did not stop because we ran out of ways to fight, Claire explained. We stopped because we finally saw what we had become. The final war killed 30 billion people in 3 years. 90% of all humans died. We looked at what we had done and decided we had to change or we would destroy ourselves completely. The lights came back on. The chamber was completely silent. Many of the alien representatives were openly crying. Others looked like they might be sick. The Velkari leader's scales had turned pale. Lauren stepped forward again. Her voice was gentle but firm. That was 3,000 years ago. We have been peaceful ever since. We chose to be better. We built a new society based on cooperation and kindness, but we remember everything. We still train our military not because we want to use it, but because we know what happens if we are not prepared. She looked around the chamber, meeting as many eyes as she could. You declared war on humanity. We are giving you one chance to take it back, not because we are afraid of you, but because we are afraid of what we might become if we fight you. We left that darkness behind. Please do not force us to return to it. The Velkari leader tried to speak, but his voice shook. This cannot be real. No species could be so terrible. You are trying to scare us with lies. It is all documented, Lauren said sadly. Every death, every weapon, every battle. We kept records of everything because we never wanted to forget how bad it was. We never wanted to become that again. An Althari spoke up, their energy form flickering with worry. But our scans showed that you have very few military ships. Your space stations are for research. Your colonies have no defenses. Where are all these terrible weapons? In storage, Lauren answered. Hidden away. Maintained but not used. We do not keep armies during peacetime because we do not need them, but every human in our space service is trained for combat. Every civilian ship can be turned into a warship. Every colony has weapons hidden underground. We built our whole civilization to look peaceful while being ready for war. She paused, letting her words sink in. We did this because we know how fast peace can end. We know that sometimes people who have never known war think it is just a game. We prepared for the day when someone would challenge us without understanding what they were doing. A Gorlan counselor spoke, his deep voice echoing. You are saying you have been pretending, acting weak while being strong. No, Lauren corrected. We are not pretending. We truly are peaceful. We truly want cooperation and friendship. But we are also realistic. We know that peace only lasts when good people are strong enough to protect it. So we stay strong even though we hope to never use that strength. The Velkari leader had regained some of his composure, though he still looked shaken. You expect us to believe that you can simply wake up your military? That you can go from peaceful explorers to warriors overnight? We run drills every year, Lauren explained. Every human knows their role in wartime. It is part of our education, part of our culture. We teach our children about peace by making sure they understand war. We remember the cost so we never pay it again. The chamber erupted in discussion, aliens arguing with each other in dozens of languages. Some wanted to withdraw the war declaration immediately. Others thought humans were bluffing. Still others were simply too shocked to speak. Lauren waited patiently. She had said what needed to be said. She had shown them the truth. Now they had to decide what to do with that knowledge. She just hoped they would make the right choice. She hoped they would choose peace while they still could. But deep down, watching the chaos in the council chamber, Lauren felt a cold certainty growing. They were not going to back down. Pride would not let them. Fear would drive them forward instead of making them retreat. They would convince themselves that humans were lying, that the presentation was fake, that they could still win, and if they made that choice, if they refused to see the truth, then humanity would have to teach them the hard way. Lauren closed her eyes and said a silent prayer for all the beings in this chamber. They did not know what they were doing. They did not understand what was about to happen, and that ignorance might cost them everything. The message went out at exactly the same moment to every human world across the galaxy. 5 words appeared on every military screen, every government terminal, every emergency broadcast system. Protocol Omega, activation code confirmed. It was the message humanity had hoped would never come, but had always been ready for. Admiral Richard Stone sat in his command chair on the orbital station above New Terra. He watched as confirmation signals flooded his screens. From 127 human colonies, the responses came back. Acknowledged. Commencing activation. Standing by for orders. Every single world answered within minutes. Captain Alice Morrison walked onto the bridge. She looked tired, as if she had not slept. Sir, all stations are reporting green status. Civilian ships are moving to military yards for retrofit. Underground facilities are opening. Personnel are reporting to their combat assignments. Stone nodded. How long until full readiness? 72 hours, sir. Everything was maintained even in storage. The drills we run every year kept everyone sharp. Nobody has forgotten their training. Stone stood and walked to the window. Outside he could see ships beginning to move. Cargo vessels heading to shipyards where weapons would be installed. Passenger ships being emptied so they could be converted. Everything was happening smoothly, efficiently, like a machine that had been oiled and ready even while sitting still. I hoped this day would never come, Stone said quietly. 3,000 years of peace. I really thought we had left all of this behind. Alice stood beside him. We did leave it behind, sir, but we remembered how to go back if we had to. That was always the plan. A communications officer called out from across the bridge. Admiral, incoming transmission from the Velkari fleet. They are demanding our immediate surrender. Stone turned back to his chair. Put them through. The screen flickered and the face of Supreme Admiral Thelkor appeared. The Velkari commander looked confident, almost smug. Behind him, the bridge of his flagship was busy with activity. Admiral Stone, I am transmitting from the head of our battle fleet. We have 300 warships. Our scans show you have launched only 30 vessels. Surrender now and your people will be allowed to live under Council supervision. Stone studied the alien commander for a long moment. What he saw was someone who had no idea what war really was. Thelkor thought this was about numbers, about technology, about who had the bigger fleet. He did not understand that war was about will, about knowledge, about the willingness to do terrible things. Admiral Thelkor, Stone said calmly, I am going to make you an offer. Turn your fleet around right now. Leave our space. Tell the Council to cancel their war declaration. We will forget this ever happened. Thelkor laughed, a harsh sound. You dare threaten me? With 30 ships against 300? I am not threatening you, Stone replied, his voice sad. I am begging you. You do not understand what you are facing. Those 30 ships are commanded by people who have trained their entire lives for this. Every single one of them has fought 1,000 battles in simulation. They know every tactic, every strategy, every dirty trick humanity ever invented in 10,000 years of war. Simulations, Thelkor scoffed. You play games while we have real experience. When was your last real combat? Stone asked. 10,000 years ago? Fighting space pirates with hand weapons? We simulate wars that killed billions. Our practice scenarios are worse than anything you have ever seen in reality. We train for total war because we know what total war looks like. Thelkor ended the transmission abruptly. Stone sat back in his chair and closed his eyes. All ships prepare for engagement. Remember your training. Remember why we are here, and remember that we stop the moment they surrender. The battle began near a colony called Haven's Rest. The Velkari fleet moved in perfect formation, the way they had been taught. Their 300 ships spread out in a pattern designed to cover maximum space while maintaining support distance. It was textbook strategy, the kind taught to peacekeeping forces across the galaxy. The 30 human ships waited in what seemed like a random pattern. They were spread across a wide area with no obvious formation. To Thelkor, watching from his command ship, they looked disorganized and confused. "All ships fire when ready," Thelkor commanded. Energy weapons lit up space. Precise beams of concentrated power shot toward the human ships. These were weapons designed for ship-to-ship combat. Efficient and clean, they were expected to disable human vessels quickly. Instead, the beams passed through empty space. The human ships flickered and vanished like ghosts. Thelkor's tactical officer shouted in confusion. "Sir, those were holographic projections. The actual ships are not where we thought they were." "Impossible. Our sensors should detect." The real human ships appeared from behind asteroids and dust clouds. They had been hiding using stealth technology that made them invisible to the Velkari scanning systems. And their weapons were nothing like what the aliens expected. Railguns. Simple metal projectiles accelerated to incredible speeds. The galaxy had stopped using physical weapons thousands of years ago, considering them primitive. But primitive weapons worked when nobody remembered how to defend against them. 12 Velkari ships simply ceased to exist in the first 3 seconds. Torn apart by solid matter traveling so fast that shields designed for energy weapons could not stop it. Metal met metal at relativistic speeds and physics did the rest. Evasive maneuvers. Thelkor screamed, "All ships scatter!" But the human ships were already moving. They turned and twisted in ways that should have been impossible, using gravity from nearby asteroids to slingshot around obstacles. They moved in perfect coordination, each ship covering another, every action planned and practiced 1,000 times. More Velkari ships died. Then more. The human vessels moved like sharks among fish, striking and moving before return fire could even be aimed. Every shot they fired hit. Every maneuver put them in the perfect position. They fought like they could see the future. What the Velkari did not understand was that humans had fought this exact battle hundreds of times in simulation. They had practiced against AI opponents that knew every possible defensive strategy. They had trained for every scenario, every response, every contingency. This was not their first battle. It was their 1,000th. One human ship, a converted colony vessel called Hope's Light, broadcast on all frequencies. The captain, Commander Natalie Ford, spoke in a calm voice. "Velkari fleet, you can still retreat. We do not want to kill you. Please turn back now while you can." Thelkor watched his fleet falling apart around him. 40 ships gone. 50. 60. In less than 15 minutes, he had lost 1/5 of his force. The human ships had not even been scratched. His people were dying, and he could do nothing to stop it. Pride fought with survival instinct. Pride lost. "All vessels," Thelkor said, his voice breaking. "Retreat to jump distance. Full withdrawal. Leave the system immediately." The human ships did not pursue. They simply stopped firing and watched as the Velkari fleet limped away. Damaged vessels helped by those still intact, bodies floating in space where ships had been. The survivors fleeing as fast as their engines could carry them. Admiral Stone watched the tactical display as the enemy fleet jumped away. "Stand down from combat alert. Maintain defensive positions. Medical teams, prepare to assist any Velkari survivors we can reach." Alice looked at him. "Sir, we could have destroyed them all." "I know," Stone said quietly. "But we are not trying to destroy them. We are trying to teach them. Hopefully they learned enough." The bridge was silent for a long moment. Then the casualty reports started coming in. 0 human deaths, 0 human ships damaged. Against 300 enemy vessels, 30 human ships had won without a scratch. It was not because humans were stronger. It was because they had never forgotten how to fight. While the galaxy had been peaceful for thousands of years, humanity had been practicing, preparing, hoping never to need those skills but keeping them sharp just in case. Now, the galaxy knew. Humanity was not to be challenged. Not because they wanted war, but because they understood it too well, and that understanding made them the most dangerous beings in the galaxy, even though all they wanted was peace. The emergency session of the Galactic Council was chaos. Admiral Thelkor stood before them, his scales pale and his voice shaking as he showed them recordings of the battle. The council members watched in horror as human ships destroyed an entire fleet with ease. 52 ships destroyed, Thelkor said. In 14 minutes. Our weapons could not even touch them. They knew where we would be before we moved there. They anticipated every decision we made. It was like fighting ghosts who could see the future. An Althari representative pulsed with fear and confusion. This makes no sense. We outnumbered them 10-1. Our technology is advanced. How did we lose so badly? Ambassador Lauren stood in the human section. Her voice was tired. You have technology designed for peace, for exploration and research. Everything you build is meant to help people. Humans come from a world where everything was a potential weapon. We see the combat application in every tool because that is how we survived. A large Gorlan counselor spoke up. We have studied your history more since your presentation. You started with sticks and stones, then knives, then guns, then nuclear weapons. Every time you invented something new, you found a way to kill with it. You never stopped thinking about destruction. Until we did, Lauren said. We stopped 3,000 years ago. But the knowledge remained in our books, our schools, our training. We teach our children about war so they understand why peace is important, the Althari pleaded. Then help us understand. How do we fight against you? Lauren looked at them with sadness. You do not fight us. You make peace. That is the only way anyone wins, but the council did not listen. Pride was a powerful force. Fear made them angry instead of careful. Political pressure from populations who did not understand pushed them forward. Within 2 weeks, 12 different alien species had formed a coalition. They pledged their combined fleets to defeat humanity once and for all. General Peter Harris reviewed the intelligence reports with his staff. 2,000 ships, he said. Every major species except the few who voted against the war. This is the largest military force the galaxy has ever assembled. President Helen Carter looked at the tactical displays with worry. Can we win against those numbers? Win? Harris said. Easily. But that is not the question. The question is how we win. We can destroy them, but that makes us monsters. We can just defend, but that will not stop them from coming back. We need to make them truly understand what they are facing. What do you recommend? Harris pulled up a classified file. Operation Nightmare. It is a psychological warfare protocol. We show them what real war looks like without actually hurting them. We make them afraid enough to stop. Carter looked uncomfortable. That sounds dangerous. We promise never to use psychological weapons. We promise never to use them against each other, Harris corrected. Against other humans? This is different. If we do not show them now, they will keep coming. Eventually, we will have to use something worse. This way nobody dies, Carter thought for a long time. Finally, she nodded. Do it. But make it clear what we are doing. And cause no permanent harm. We are trying to save lives, not destroy minds. The coalition fleet gathered at the edge of human space, 2,000 ships from 12 different species, all united by their fear and anger toward humanity. They had studied the Velkari defeat and learned from it. They had new shields, new tactics, new strategies designed specifically to counter what humans had done. Admiral Thelkor had been given overall command, though he had tried to refuse. The council insisted that his experience made him the best choice. He stood on his bridge looking at the massive fleet around him and tried to feel confident. All ships report ready, sir, his tactical officer said. Thelkor opened fleet-wide communications. All vessels maintain formation. We have learned from our mistakes. This time we stay together. We use our numbers. We overwhelm them with force. For the council and for the galaxy. The human response appeared on their sensors. 50 ships this time, more than before, but still outnumbered 40-1. They were spread across space, waiting. Then every light went out. Not just the battle lights or display screens. Every single light on every single ship went dark at exactly the same instant. 2,000 ships, all their systems failing simultaneously. Emergency power did not come on. Backup systems did not activate. Everything simply stopped working. On Thelkor's bridge, officers shouted in panic. What happened? Get the lights back. Check life support. All systems down, sir. No power to anything except, wait, life support is coming back. Emergency power only, but we can breathe. Communications? Short range only, sir. And there is a message coming through. On every ship in the Coalition fleet, the same message played. Admiral Stone appeared on emergency screens, his face serious and sad. Coalition forces, listen carefully. What you just experienced was a cyber weapon. We inserted it into your computer systems 3 months ago, when you first started planning this attack. It has been hidden inside your ships all this time, invisible and waiting. Stone paused, letting the words sink in. Around the fleet, commanders felt ice in their blood. 3 months ago. before they had even announced the coalition. The humans had known and had been inside their systems the entire time. Right now, we control every system on every ship in your fleet, Stone continued. Your weapons, your engines, your life support, everything. We could kill 500,000 beings with a single command. Do you understand what this means? You are alive only because we choose to let you live. The message played on, Stone's voice echoing through dark ships. We have been watching you for months. We have read every message you sent. We know your battle plans. We know your strategies. We know which ships are carrying which weapons. We know everything about you, and you never knew we were there. Thelkor sat down heavily. Around the fleet, other commanders did the same. The full understanding of what had happened was crushing. They had thought they were preparing for war, but the humans had already won before the battle even started. This is what war against humanity means, Stone said. We do not just have better weapons. We have better intelligence, better strategy, better planning. We have spent 3,000 years suppressing knowledge about how to destroy our enemies. All that knowledge is still there, waiting, and we hate using it. Stone's face showed real pain. We are going to give you back control of your ships. All of them. We are going to remove our programs from your systems. You will be free to leave. But you need to understand something. You are alive right now because we chose life over death. We chose mercy over victory. Remember that choice the next time you think about challenging us. The transmission ended. Slowly, systems began coming back online across the fleet. Lights flickered on. Displays activated. Ship systems reported nominal function. Every vessel was intact. Every crew member unharmed. Not a single shot had been fired, but everything had changed. The coalition had come to conquer. They were leaving defeated without a battle. They had come to teach humanity a lesson. Instead, humanity had taught them something far more important. Power was not about having weapons. Power was about choosing when to use them. Thelkor opened communications with his fleet. All ships set course for home. Maintain formation for dignity, but understand that we are retreating. The war is over. One of his officers asked quietly, Sir, should we inform the council? Yes, Thelkor said. Tell them everything. Tell them that humanity could have killed us all and chose not to. Tell them that we are alive because of human mercy, not our own strength. Tell them that if they ever consider war with humanity again, they are fools who deserve whatever happens to them. As the coalition fleet jumped away, one by one, the human ships remained in position. They had won without fighting. They had defeated 2,000 enemy vessels without firing a single shot. It was the most complete victory in the history of galactic warfare, and it had been accomplished through fear and understanding rather than violence. Admiral Stone watched them go and felt only sadness. Stand down from combat alert. Begin deactivation of Protocol Omega. It is time to go back to peace. His crew cheered, but Stone did not join them. There was nothing to celebrate. They had shown the galaxy what humanity could do. That knowledge would change everything. The galaxy would never look at humans the same way again. They would always be feared, always be watched, always be seen as dangerous. But perhaps that was necessary. Perhaps being feared would keep the peace better than being loved ever could. Sometimes the only way to prevent war was to show exactly how terrible war could be. Humanity had learned that lesson long ago. Now the galaxy was learning it too. 3 weeks after Operation Nightmare, the Galactic Council met again. The Great Chamber felt different now. The confidence and arrogance were gone. In their place was a nervous respect and underlying fear. The alien representatives looked at Ambassador Lauren with new eyes, seeing not just a diplomat but a representative of the most dangerous species in the galaxy. The Velkari chief counselor stood to speak. His voice was humble in a way it had never been before. Ambassador Price, the Galactic Council wishes to formally withdraw its declaration of war against humanity. We apologize for our ignorance and our arrogance. We did not understand what we were doing. Lauren nodded gracefully. Your apology is accepted. We hope this can mark the beginning of true understanding between our peoples. We want to be your partners, not your enemies. An Althari representative flickered with worry. But there is fear now. Your capabilities are beyond anything we imagined. How can we live peacefully knowing you could destroy us all whenever you choose? Lauren looked around the chamber, meeting as many eyes as she could. You live with us the same way we have lived with ourselves for 3,000 years. Through choice. Every day, humanity chooses peace. Every single day. We could have destroyed you the moment you declared war. We did not. We will not. Not unless you leave us with absolutely no other option. A large Gorlan counselor spoke carefully. But how can we trust that choice will always be made? What prevents humanity from changing its mind? Because we have already proven it, Lauren replied. We had every opportunity to destroy your fleets completely. We did not. We had the power to attack your home worlds while your ships were away. We did not. We showed you only the minimum necessary to make you understand. That restraint is what you can trust. A young whisper named Coordinator Essence spoke up. They had been studying human history intensively since the war declaration. I believe I understand now why humans laughed when we declared war. We were innocent. To us, war was just a political statement. To humanity, it was opening a door they had spent 3,000 years keeping closed. They laughed because we were children playing with fire, and they knew exactly how badly we were about to get burned. Lauren smiled sadly. That is exactly right.
We were not laughing at you.
We were laughing at the terrible irony of the situation. You had no idea what you were asking for. Now we do, Essence said quietly. And it terrifies us. Good, Lauren said gently. Fear can be useful when it is honest. Let it remind you that peace is precious because war is terrible. We learned that lesson with billions of lives. You learned it without losing anyone. Consider yourselves fortunate. In the months that followed, humanity's role in the galaxy changed completely. They were no longer the young species to be supervised and controlled. Instead, they became the guardians that nobody had wanted but everyone needed. When pirates attacked trade routes in the outer sectors, human security ships responded. The pirates disappeared within days, their bases found and dismantled with an efficiency that shocked even the victims they had been terrorizing. Nobody asked how the humans found them so quickly. Nobody wanted to know. When two species began arguing over a border dispute that threatened to turn violent, human mediators arrived. They understood conflict in a way peaceful species could not. They knew how arguments became fights, how fights became wars. They stopped the escalation before it could truly begin. When a rogue artificial intelligence took over a station and threatened millions of lives, human cyber specialists solved the problem in hours. They understood hostile AI because they had fought against it in their own history. They knew its weaknesses because they had created similar weapons themselves long ago. The galaxy learned to appreciate having humanity watching over them, not because humans were aggressive, but because they understood aggression. Not because they wanted to fight, but because they knew how to prevent fights. The threat of human intervention kept the peace more effectively than any law or treaty. Commander Jake Morrison stood on the observation deck where it had all begun, looking out at the peaceful stars. He had been promoted and given a position coordinating human security operations across multiple sectors. Claire Bennett joined him, having returned to her teaching but also serving as an advisor on historical matters. Do you think they will ever truly understand us? Claire asked. Jake shook his head. No, how could they? They never had to become what we became. They never had to fight their way out of darkness. In a way, I am glad they cannot understand. It means they never had to live through what we did. But they still fear us. That is okay, Jake said. A little healthy fear might keep them from making stupid mistakes. And it keeps us humble too. Every time they look at us with fear, we remember what we were, what we could become again if we are not careful. Claire nodded. General Harris told me they are putting the weapons back in storage. Protocol Omega is being shut down. As it should be, Jake replied. We brought out our demons long enough to remind everyone why they should stay locked away. Now we put them back where they belong, hidden but ready, sleeping but not dead. They stood in comfortable silence for a while, watching ships come and go from the station, trade vessels from a dozen species, scientific expeditions setting out to explore new systems, families traveling to visit relatives on distant worlds. All of it peaceful, all of it possible because humanity stood ready to prevent violence. It is strange, Claire said. We keep the peace by being good at war. We prevent violence by being capable of terrible violence. It is a contradiction. It is the human contradiction, Jake agreed. We are the only species in the galaxy that had to learn peace the hard way. Everyone else evolved into it naturally. We had to fight our way to it. That makes our peace different. Harder, but maybe stronger too. Do you think it will last? This new peace? Jake considered the question carefully. I think so. The galaxy has learned something important. They learned that peace maintained by those who understand war is stronger than peace maintained by those who have never known conflict. They will think twice before challenging us again, and we will keep choosing peace day after day for as long as we can." Claire smiled. "You sound optimistic." "I am," Jake said. "For the first time in a long time, I actually am." We faced our greatest fear. We had to return to war, and we did it without becoming monsters. We showed restraint when we could have shown destruction. We chose life when we could have chosen death. That proves we really have changed. "And if someone challenges us again?" "Then we will make the same choice again," Jake said firmly. "We will use the minimum force necessary. We will show restraint. We will remember that the goal is peace, not victory. That is what makes us different from what we used to be. Old humanity fought to win. New humanity fights only to stop fighting." Down on Earth in the Historical War Museum, visitors walked through exhibits that showed humanity's violent past. Parents brought their children to teach them why peace mattered. Students came to understand where they came from. Aliens came to learn about the species that had become the galaxy's unexpected protectors. At the exit of the museum, there was a simple memorial with words carved into metal. "Never again, never forget." It was humanity's promise to itself and to the galaxy. They would never return to the darkness of their past. But they would never forget what that darkness looked like. They would remember so that others would not have to learn the same terrible lessons. Somewhere in space, human soldiers stood ready. Not because they wanted war, but because they understood peace. They maintained their skills, their weapons, their readiness, all in the hope that they would never need to use any of it again. They were the guardians in the darkness, the watchers on the wall, the ones who remembered violence so that others could forget. And across the galaxy, in the homes and hearts of billions of beings, a new understanding was growing. Humanity was dangerous, yes, but that danger was precisely what kept everyone safe. The species that knew war best was the species most committed to preventing it. The ones who understood violence were the ones who worked hardest to stop it. After 3,000 years of peace, aliens had declared war while humans only laughed. But the laughter had hidden tears. Tears for the innocence the galaxy had lost. Tears for the terrible knowledge they had been forced to share. And tears of relief that the lesson had been learned without the galaxy paying the ultimate price. Peace had survived stronger than before, protected by those who knew its true cost. 5 years had passed since the day aliens declared war on humanity. The galaxy had settled into a new normal, one where humans were respected, feared, and relied upon in equal measure. The great powers of the Council had learned to consult with human advisors on matters of security. Trade flourished under the protection of human patrol routes. Scientific cooperation reached new heights as species learned to trust each other in ways they never had before. But not everyone had forgotten. Not everyone had learned the lessons that should have been learned. In the outer reaches of explored space, a new power was rising. The Kraith Dominion had remained neutral during the Coalition War, watching and learning from a safe distance. They were a species that had only recently achieved faster-than-light travel, and they were hungry for territory and respect. The Kraith leader, Supreme Commander Zendak, sat in his throne room on their homeworld, reviewing reports about humanity. He had studied the recordings of the Coalition defeat. He had read every document he could find about human history and capabilities, and he had come to a different conclusion than everyone else. "They are bluffing," Zendak told his advisors. "This entire reputation is built on fear and tricks. They defeated the Coalition with cyber weapons, not actual military strength. They showed old videos of primitive wars from thousands of years ago. But where is the proof that they are still that dangerous?" His military commander, General Vrax, was less certain. "Supreme Commander, the other species fear them for good reason. They demonstrated capabilities that—" "They demonstrated parlor tricks," Zendak interrupted. "Cyber warfare only works once. The galaxy has updated their security since then. Holographic ships and kinetic weapons are simple technology. We can counter both. The humans rely on their reputation to keep everyone afraid, but we are not afraid." This was how the Second Declaration of War began. The Kraith Dominion announced their intention to claim several border worlds that humanity had settled. They demanded humans evacuate within 30 days or face military action. It was arrogance born of ignorance, the belief that studying an enemy was the same as understanding them. The message reached Earth quickly. Ambassador Lauren, now promoted to Secretary of External Affairs, brought it to President Helen Carter. They read the Kraith demands together in silence. "They think we were bluffing. Lauren said quietly. They think the coalition war was all smoke and mirrors. Carter looked tired. She had hoped her time as president would be peaceful. What do our intelligence services say about the Kraith? They are newcomers to the galactic stage, aggressive, confident. They evolved on a harsh world and had to fight for everything. Sound familiar? Like us, Carter said. Before we changed, yes, but they are several thousand years behind us in development. They have basic space combat experience. They have won wars against other species in their region. They think that makes them strong enough to challenge us. Carter stood and walked to the window, looking out at the peaceful city below. We cannot back down. If we give in to their demands, every species in the galaxy will think we were bluffing. All the peace we have built will collapse. No, we cannot back down, Lauren agreed. But we also cannot just repeat what we did before. The galaxy is watching. We need to send a different message this time. What message? Lauren thought for a moment. That we are not just dangerous. We are patient. We are willing to teach. But if someone absolutely refuses to learn, we will make the lesson impossible to forget. The human response to the Kraith demands was simple and direct. Ambassador Lauren delivered it personally to their embassy. The worlds you claim are legally settled by humans under galactic law. We will not evacuate them. However, we invite the Kraith Dominion to send observers to witness a military demonstration. We will show you exactly what you would face if you choose war. Zendak laughed when he heard the response. A demonstration? They want to put on a show for us? Let them. We will send observers, and when their little display is finished, we will show them real military power. The demonstration was scheduled for a remote system with no inhabited planets. The Kraith sent a delegation including General Vrax and several military analysts. The Galactic Council also sent observers curious to see what humanity would reveal. This would be the first time humans publicly displayed their true military capabilities. The observers gathered on a specially built station with viewing screens and sensors. Admiral Richard Stone greeted them personally. He looked older now, gray in his hair, but his eyes were still sharp. Thank you for coming, Stone said. What you are about to see is a fraction of human military capability. We have prepared 3 separate demonstrations. The first will show conventional warfare. The second will show advanced tactics. The third will show what we hope never to use. General Vrax looked skeptical. We are ready to be impressed, Admiral. I hope you are ready to be educated, Stone replied. The first demonstration began. A small moon in the system, already scheduled for mining, became the target. 5 human warships appeared from stealth. These were not converted civilian vessels. These were dedicated military ships that had been in storage for 3,000 years, now reactivated and modernized. The ships opened fire. Railguns, plasma cannons, missile swarms, laser arrays, every type of conventional weapon humans had ever developed, all unleashed at once. The moon did not just break apart. It ceased to exist as a solid object, reduced to a cloud of superheated gas and debris in less than 10 minutes. The observers watched in stunned silence. The sheer destructive power was beyond anything they had imagined. And this was just conventional weapons. That was 5 ships, Stone said calmly. Humanity has 10,000 ships of that class in storage. We can activate them all within a week if necessary. General Vrax had gone pale, but Stone was not finished. The second demonstration will show tactical superiority, Stone continued. We have prepared a simulation. Our computers have modeled a battle between 100 Kraith warships and 10 human vessels. The simulation uses actual data from your ship designs, which we obtained through standard intelligence gathering. Watch. The simulation played on the screens. It lasted 4 minutes and 17 seconds. The Kraith fleet was completely destroyed without a single human ship taking damage. The simulation showed every tactic, every maneuver, every weakness in Kraith formations and strategies. It was a complete dissection of their military capabilities. You have been studying us, Stone said to Vrax. We have been studying you too. We know everything about your military, your ship designs, your training methods, your tactical doctrine, your supply chains, your communication protocols. We even know the names of your commanders and their preferred strategies. We know all of this because intelligence gathering is something humans have been perfecting for thousands of years. Vrax looked like he might be sick. The other Kraith observers were equally shocked. They had thought they were being clever, studying humanity from afar. They had not realized humans were studying them with far greater depth and skill. The third demonstration, Stone said quietly. is something we hoped never to show anyone. But you need to understand what exists, what we keep locked away, what we will use if we have no other choice. A small probe was launched toward another uninhabited body in the system, a large asteroid. The probe was tiny, barely visible on the sensors. It attached to the asteroid surface and activated. The asteroid began to glow. Then it began to crack. Then in a cascade that took less than 30 seconds, it tore itself apart from the inside. Not with explosions, but with something far more frightening. The molecular bonds holding the rock together simply failed, all at once turning solid matter into dust. Molecular disruptor, Stone explained. It breaks the electromagnetic forces holding matter together. One probe can destroy an asteroid. 100 probes can destroy a planet. We have millions of these in storage. They are completely undetectable once deployed. They can be programmed to activate on a timer, on a signal, or on their own if they detect certain conditions. He let that sink in for a moment. We invented this weapon 2,000 years ago, during the late colonial wars. It was never used because we realized how terrible it was. We keep it, along with dozens of other weapons just as bad because destroying them seemed wrong. They are part of our history, part of our shame, part of our reminder of what we never want to become again. Stone turned to face the Kraith delegation directly. General Vrax, take this message to Supreme Commander Zendak. Humanity does not want war with the Kraith Dominion. We have no desire to hurt your people. But if you force us to fight, we will win. We will win quickly, completely, and with minimal risk to ourselves. And after we win, we will help you rebuild, because that is who we are now. But please do not make us fight. Do not make us use these terrible things we have kept locked away. The demonstration was over. The observers returned to their ships in silence. The Kraith delegation left immediately, racing back to their home world to report what they had seen. The council representatives stayed longer, asking questions, trying to understand the species they had invited into their galaxy. 3 days later, the Kraith Dominion withdrew their demands. Supreme Commander Zendak sent a formal apology, along with a request for peaceful relations and